Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your Chief Security Fanatic here, and welcome to more daily news. Now, my primary daily video was not about the Marriott breach, but this one is going to be. Now, I'm sure you already know, especially if you're watching this, you might be in the cybersecurity community or very vested in technology or news, that Marriott had a breach and they're claiming 500 million of their customers were breached, including 327 million of those 500 million that had serious information dumped on them, including credit card information, passports, names, etc., which obviously is a very serious breach. But there's a couple of different things that we need to make sure we understand about these kinds of things. There is an entire process for breaching when we are discovering a breach that we go through, and I'm going to take you through that, in about 30 seconds to a minute or so. So if a company like Marriott were to call me and say, Nick, we think we've got a problem, we think we have a problem, we have a data breach going, the first two words out of my mouth are shut up. You don't have a data breach, you have an incident. Now, we don't necessarily know what happened. Did they get in? Did they not get in? Did they get the shopping list for the CEO, the toilet scrubbing schedule for the janitor, or did they get every credit card that we have in store? Once that discovery process is done, then what ends up happening is pretty much a meeting is called between the upper brass of the organization, cybersecurity, marketing, legal, all this kind of stuff to understand, one, that we do have a data breach, what the scope and impact of that is. Then the legal people kick in to say, okay, what is our legal coverage here? What do we have to do in order to protect intellectual property? Whatever that organization is all about. The marketing people say, okay, what can we do to mitigate this? How can we, slow the damage down? Can we release this on a strategic day? Should we wait for another massive breach to be released, and then we'll release after that? So the focus is on another organization, unless the breach is so massive. But they also come up with oftentimes a number. And so what we've seen over the years is that numbers for data breaches are typically historically low. So I'll give you a perfect example. Yahoo basically came out and said it was 500 million mailboxes, then a billion, then 1.5 billion, then 2, then 3 billion, then everything that Yahoo has ever done ever pretty much got breached by Russian hackers. And this is what we end up seeing, whether it's compliance law or not, that we are supposed to take our best guess as to what this is. And so oftentimes you come up with a number that isn't low enough that people would never believe it. Like nobody's going to believe Marriott lost 10 records, or we can look at Equifax as well for this, versus the actual number that's going to put them out of business, like torches and pitchforks at their front door. And so when we're looking at something like this, my gut tells me that 500 million is probably low. Now, I can't speak for this. I have no involvement with the Marriott organization. I am not part of their cybersecurity team, third party or otherwise. And so for all I know, this is the actual number. But what we see historically, and we'll look at Equifax, who started with 142 million and then have been raising it over time. If you didn't realize, we're up to something like 200 million. And truthfully, the number for Equifax is probably going to be closer to 1 billion records as they raise this over years and years and years. Dropbox did the same thing. They admitted to 7 million mailboxes, and then something like 3 to 5 years later said, yeah, it was 70 million. And so if we're looking at this, we have to understand that Marriott could be giving us false numbers, or numbers that they say are their best guess, and we're going to see this rise. I mean, Marriott is a massive organization encompassing multiple hotel chains and whatnot, so it's something that we're really going to have to keep an eye on. The other thing that we're going to start seeing now in the next week to a month or so, this is a bomb dropping in news. The focus when it comes to cybersecurity and technology right now, outside of politics and the president and all that kind of stuff, the focus is going to be on Marriott, which means if another organization is going through a breach right now is the time to disclose it, assuming that they've secured the network. We only declare breaches publicly when we know the network has been secured, the holes have been plugged, equipment has been upgraded, whatever that is. And so we have to make sure that we are keeping an eye for this. My daily video today was on another breach that just happened to be roughly around the same time. I'm not saying that Dunkin' Donuts was using Marriott as a shield. I think just Marriott was the by far bigger one, but Dunkin' Donuts caught something as well that they had just disclosed as well. And so for the next couple of weeks at least, what we're going to see is smaller organizations starting to declare breaches. So organization X might have 1 million records hit. Well, that's not 500 million, and the focus and anger and outrage is on Marriott right now. The other problem that we have, and I wrote an article for Forbes about this, is that for example, Marriott, your personal information. Let's say I go to Marriott, my personal information may be out there, my passport and anything else, enough for somebody to run an identity scam on me or one of the hundreds of millions that got breached. And so we can't go right now in the United States and change our identities in any meaningful way. We're primarily using our social security number as a unique identifier as well as a passport. And if there is a data breach, you can't walk into the Social Security Administration and say, change my social security number because I was in a data breach. They won't do that. We have a broken ID system. Like I said, I wrote an article on Forbes about this that probably 6 people read because it's not a sexy topic. But nevertheless, it's a serious problem we have in the United States, and breaches like the Marriott breach underscore this. And so we're going to keep on this. We're going to see what's going on with this, but that is the anatomy of a breach. That is what's going on. And quite frankly, it is very possible that Marriott is lying to us, and those numbers are very, very low. It could be $1 billion plus. And again, they could have, and I can't speak to that because I do not work with Marriott. They could have been 100% honest with us in what they have. But like I said, past news, past information coming out, past data breaches where corporations of this size have put out information have historically been significantly lower than what we're seeing now. So keep that in mind as we are looking at this. And as always, I'm going to keep you guys informed, and I do data breaches of the week every Sunday. And so I am anticipating a crazy data breaches of the week for the next month or so that is probably going to be on and on and on, maybe a couple of videos worth, because again, we're going to see a slew of these come out. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to let you know as we keep going on, but as they start raising that number, I will be informing you in that, because we can't let that go. We have to hold corporations accountable. We need more stringent data security laws for this, and quite frankly, we just don't have it right now. So that is your more news of the day, and as always, stay safe and stay online out there. Thanks, guys.